piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am.
What up, film fans? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode 320. Welcome to Idle Hands. You're listening to another new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I am your host, Juan. I am joined by the other host, the fellas, the crew, the cast. Jay, what up?
What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Got a little black-lit flame candle right there.
He's probably a virgin, so hey.
A little hocus pocus.
Better not see no witches show up during this show.
You should have said, we're here. We are here, and we're here for another new episode, guys. Hope everybody had a good week. Man, how's everybody doing?
So far, so good, man.
Doing pretty well. Made some significant life changes, and now I'm seeing how that plays out. So,
Life changes can be good, can be big. Speaking of life changes, if you guys did not catch us last week on last week's episode, we talked Ed's pick, scary movie. We had a fun conversation.
oh yeah, we did.
We tried to do the movie justice, Ed. Even somebody who introduced me to the movie years ago, Jay, even he was a little, what would you call that?
We found it unfunny.
Well, it was a little bombarded. Did you at least get to rewatch it for the episode?
Yes. Oh yeah.
I did get ready for it. Look, I got big time ready.
Oh yeah. No, I watch it every now and then. Not all the time. I can see so scary movie. All of them aren't going to be something that you watch every month or every 6 months. Even sometimes it's just once every year, if that, for that matter, and that's understandable. It's just one of those that we don't do much comedy here. We really don't, man. To go ahead and introduce a little bit of comedy, a little bit of horror, different things like that, as well as a parody of some of the movies we have done. For a bit of an example, and I know I'm gonna skip it ahead as far as segments because this is part of my recent watches. My wife, I just found out she hasn't seen Scream 2. She's seen. Oh, he left. Oh shit, he was pissed. Hold up. 1 and 2 have been remedied. 1 and 2 have been remedied. Okay, she has now seen those two. She, understands
I'm
some
stressed.
of the. Don't. You're good, man. I got you. She has not seen the original Freddy's or Jason's. Halloween was the only one that she's seen that is one of the originals, man. So I'm taking it upon myself.
So you have homework this week.
Well, hold up. I'm taking it upon myself, and that's true, it, to go ahead like you did with me years ago, those 20 some odd years ago, to introduce those to me, So you've seen Child's Play, correct? Okay, she's seen Child's Play and stuff like that, but Nightmare, Friday, the first Nightmare. Okay, she's seen Johnny Depp's debut, so there's that. Friday. No,
She ain't missing much with the Friday movies, though, is she?
Not really. I mean, don't get me wrong. What was it? 4?
4 was all right. 6 was awesome, I thought.
Okay, but I mean, it's just that rite of passage, if you will, for that matter. And I'm sorry, Jason's movies might not be the best of the entire whatever, but they still are there for a reason.
Well, here's a little thing for me. I've only seen a handful, probably like 1 and 2, and maybe H2O, and the one with Buster Rhymes of the Halloween movies. I ain't even seen I've seen the Rob Zombie ones. I ain't even seen the newest ones yet either. of all the Halloweens.
The Rob Zombie ones are good, but they're just a really hulked out Michael Myers. Like, dude's 6'10" and all that crap. And I mean,
Because he was played by Taylor Maine.
Yeah. They're all right, but I mean, it is what it is on those. I mean, they're cool, but
speaking of, a look back last week, like we said, we did talk all about Scary Movie. Last week and this week are kind of out of the ordinary. Like Ed said, we're doing some comedy horror, so should be a fun episode today. Last week, if you want the links to last week's episode, visit our social media. Ed, how do they find the social media pages?
pretty easy. That is facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That is TheCinemenMoviepodcast. The Instagram is the same, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The X is Cine-Men405. The email is at cinnamon921@gmail.com. Leave us something that you like. Leave us a list that you like. Leave us something that you've watched that you thought is incredible. Something, whatever it is, whether it's a horror film, a drama, thriller, whatever. We don't care. Leave us something.
Drop us your favorite X-rated title. We don't care. We might even check that out.
Debbie Does Dallas. I've been trying to get Debbie Does Dallas on this.
That is a cultural. That is a cultural movie. That movie made bank. It was in movie theaters, real movie theaters.
Or what Howard Stern's movie?
Private Parts. I love that movie.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. Porky's. Okay.
Send us some messages, and we will read your top favorite horror movies instead of the emails. We'll bring out the email bag next week. So email bag should be fun next week. But let's get into some recent watches. Ed kind of named off a few already. Jay, what about you?
I've been kind of going back and forth between Stranger Things. Now that I have access to Netflix again, I've seen all the way up to season 3. And it's been so long since I've watched it, so it's like might as well just start all over again. And even while watching it, I'm not saying I'm bored with it, but I don't know. It's the slow build that's kind of annoyed me. I have watched more than Penguin. That show is beyond great. That show is really, really good. What's her name? Kristen Leon, whatever her name is, who plays Sophia Falcone. Give that girl whatever award she wants. She deserves every award. And give the same thing to Colin Farrell. Deserves everything. And as far as movies, I watched Idle Hands, which we're going to discuss today. And I back and forth. That's about it. Actually, I've been watching some YouTube stuff.
Oh, I did watch 2004's Salem Lot. That one wasn't too bad, man. Like, some of the decisions in the plot were kind of stupid, but overall, the look of the vampires was pretty cool, and I thought it was a decent movie.
The one that's just now came out on Max?
No.
Oh, okay. The made-for-TV movie they did back in
2004. Yeah. That thing was cool.
Nice. I'll go through mine real quick. Last week I went through all 3 Terrifier movies, getting ready for an episode of Friday the 14th, 1, 2, and 3. And then I checked out Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. It was okay. Rewatched Scream, just because it's that time of year, right? I did check out Unhinged and A Quiet Place Day 1. We here at the podcast, we've reviewed Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. Oh. Phenomenal movies. Those are really good movies, but I just could not, I did not find Day 1 entertaining at all. And then I did check out Idle Hands for today's episode. So,
okay, so I'm sorry. I am wrong. I did watch the 2024 version of Salem's Lot. So there's that.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to mention, Ed?
I'm sorry. No.
Let's dig into, Jay, some box office news. Box office, what are the top 6 movies?
I only wanted to make it a top 6 this week because everybody's wanting to pay attention to Jokers. We'll just start right there at number 6. with only $2.1 million for the entire weekend. It's barely reached $57 million. Joker 2. And then jumping up way up the list from number 18 last week to number 5 this week, We Live in Time with 4.1 million. Still holding on really well. I don't see why they've released it on digital yet, but we got at number 4 Beetlejuice with 5 million even for the weekend. The number 1 movie last week was Terrifier 3. This week it's number 3 with 9.3 million. Number 2, holding on to the number 2 spot, is The Wild Robot with $10 million, almost 11. And then the number 1 movie of the week was Smile 2 with 23 million, almost 24. So that's the top 6 for now.
It's not too bad. Box office news, get out there and go see the movies, guys. Go to the theaters. I kind of knew Smile 2 was going to be a pretty big number. But
right now, Beetlejuice is only about 15 million away from $300 million and domestically.
Nice.
That's insane. Yeah, that's.
And the Wild Robot just this past weekend crossed the $100 million mark.
Speaking of, let's dig into some movie news. I have a few I'll bring up, and then Jay, if you have any, Ed, if you've heard anything, you can go ahead and bring something up. Courtney Cox has confirmed for Scream 7, which comes out February 2026. Ex-writer Kevin Williamson is writing the movie. No Jenna Ortega, no Melissa Barrera, but I'm kind of interested to see where this story now goes. And Patrick Dempsey is supposed to be written onto it as well. So we've reviewed every single Scream movie here at the podcast. Jay, you grew up with those movies as well. Let's start with you. Anybody have any direction? Like, where do you guys want it?
If they bring back Patrick Duffy, I think he's going to be the first kill. He's going to be the thing that sets everything in motion.
Do you guys want to see even a 7th movie, or are you kind of just like done with this franchise?
I'll be down.
I'm down with it. I have one thing that I'd love to see. I know that a lot of people would probably love it as well because it's been talked about for years. It's supposed to happen already, but of course, no. But I'd love to see Stu back. Like I'd love to see something go on with that. So I don't know. Yeah.
To piggyback off your Scream news, Freddie Prinze Jr. just a few days ago mentioned he's going to be coming back for the I Know What You Did Last Summer requel, whatever the hell they're calling this one. He's coming back for it. So they are redoing that one. I think it comes out next year as well, or next year. So
yeah. Next July, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr. are the only 2 confirmed. And you're right, it is a requel. So I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. So
no Sarah Michelle Gellar. Holy shit.
She did.
She died.
I know.
So the other one thing I brought up is Blade is completely removed from Marvel's 2025 list. It does not look like it's happening.
Like you said, there's only going to be one Blade.
They replaced it, its release date with the Predator Badlands movie. They have a new Predator, the new Predator movie coming out next year. It took its date.
Interesting. And what do you guys think? You think Blade is going to happen? You think it's just
not the story they wanted to tell, because they're going to have to come up with something new. They might even have to get a new actor to play him.
Do you think Wesley Snipes was so popular in that Deadpool movie that's just like, okay, let's just rehash it with Wesley Snipes?
I think to a point that's got an influence on it. To a point, not necessarily 100%, but
I keep seeing a lot of people say that they just need to skip a new Blade movie and just go right into a Midnight Suns movie and just make that. And if you don't know what Midnight Suns is, it's basically a team up of like Blade, Ghost Rider, and shit like that. All these vigilantes. I think
Daredevil. Several characters.
I think Daredevil's a part of the team every now and then and stuff like that.
Kind of like the old Marvel Knights, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all I wanted to bring to some movie news. Jay, do you have anything else?
This weekend was New York Comic Con. Not much came out of there unless you're a big action figure person or comic book person. That's where a lot of the news came out. But they did release the very first trailer for one of the first pieces of media of the DCU new universe, which is Creature Commando. I seen the trailer. Real good trailer. It reminds me of, it's animated, but the people doing the voices, they have planned on using them in live action versions of themselves. That's why they cast big name actors for these roles. And so it does remind me of a Suicide Squad movie, but it's got James Gunn's fingerprints all over it. You could tell just by watching the trailer it does. And you guys want to discuss that or anything? Have anybody know anything about Creature Commando?
Not really. But if there's something that you want to lay down for us, we can.
Okay, the only character you guys would probably recognize would be Weasel from the James Gunn Suicide Squad. He's in it, and then Rick Flag Sr., which is the guy that was killed in the James Gunn's that the Peacemaker killed. It's his father. You're going to be following his father because his father's even in the new Superman movie as well. And then as far as other movie news, Tom Holland has signed on with Matt Damon to do. There's not much being said. It's supposed to come out 2026, I believe. Is Christopher Nolan's new movie? They both have signed on to do Christopher Nolan's new movie, and that's all that's out.
Everything he does is just like always gold. So I'm always interested in seeing what he does next. Speaking of Christopher Nolan, you guys can join us in December. We'll be talking the 10th anniversary of Interstellar.
I really hope that they have a theater around us that's showing that for its 10th anniversary.
That'd be nice. I know they have a real nice 4K steelbook coming out. I already have it on 4K, so I'm definitely not touching that steelbook. I'm sure they'll slap a $40 price tag on that thing. Anyway, let's dig into what we're talking about today. Let's dig into the meat and potatoes.
Did you have any news before he skips you?
No, I didn't.
He gave me the wink.
Oh shit! Never mind. I don't pay attention to subtle hints. This next time. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, before we put box office news into the bucket, you guys can say just yes or no. Any chance Venom will take the number one lead, or do you think Smile 2 takes over?
Oh, that's definitely number one. That's definitely number one. Especially because I think just because the character Null is in the movie, and if you guys don't know comic books like I do, but Null is the god of all symbiotes. He's the one that they're all afraid of, and from what I've understood and read is that this is just his introduction. This is going to be, here's Null, and from what I understand, there's a possibility he could be led into the MCU after this.
Interesting.
Into the Spider-Man films.
Should be fun. Venom hits theaters this coming Thursday. But let's get into Idle Hands. Currently on IMDb, it has a 6.2. Rotten Tomatoes is 16%. The Metascore is 31, and the Letterboxd is 3.2. With a budget of $25 million, it only grossed $4 million at the box office, with an April 30th, 1999 release date. A teenage slacker's right hand becomes possessed with murderous intent, starring Devin Sawa, Seth Green, Eldon Henson, Jessica Alba, Vivica A. Fox, and directed by Rodman Flender. Ed, we'll start with you. Do you remember the first time you've seen this movie, and what was it like revisiting it for the podcast?
I do remember the first time seeing this movie because this is my first time seeing this movie. I've heard of it. I've never really delved into it. I've never really gotten to watch it. Yeah.
Nice. First time watch for you. It's always a good conversation.
See.
Jay, what about you? Do you remember the first time you got to watch this, and what was it like revisiting it for the podcast?
I seen it the opening weekend, I guess you'd say, because we were taken to the movie theater. It's the one by Crossroads that's now closed, the big 14-screen one. The Mummy was the big movie to open that weekend, and my younger brother went and seen that. My youngest brother went with me to see Idle Hands. I was like, I don't want to see some stupid movie called The fucking Mummy. So I went there and watched Idle Hands, and that was my first viewing of it, was at the theater. I enjoyed the hell out of it at the theater so much that I ended up buying it on DVD when it came out and watched. And that's what annoys me, is that the Blu-ray you have behind you is just bare bones. That has just a movie on it, but the DVD that I had like over 30 minutes of deleted scenes and alternate endings, director's commentary, and numerous making of featurettes.
Bare bones, man. There's a lot of re-release Blu-rays that just is the movie, no special features, no commentary, no nothing.
That's what I used to miss about getting a nice DVD. You'd be able to go through more than double the movie of just BS behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it then. But now, I don't know if my tastes have changed. I laughed a little bit, but most of the time I was just kind of there.
Man.
Like last week, I was just kind of there.
I remember the first time I saw this. This is one of the few movies I have had on VHS, DVD, and now Blu-ray. I used to love this movie growing up, man. This was right up there with Freddy, Michael, Halloween. Hey, it's October, I'm watching Idle Hands. There was such a long span from the DVD release to the Blu-ray release that I kind of forgot about it. Picked it up on Blu-ray a few years ago, rewatched it, thought it was great. This time around, I didn't laugh. I enjoyed myself, but not like I probably wanted to. So let's dig into it. We're 22 minutes into the episode. If you guys have not checked out Idle Hands, it's a 1999 film. Go do yourself a favor. Go check it out. Amazon rent it, Vudu rent it, or go check it out and buy it on physical media. I did see it at Walmart over the weekend, so it still is out there.
Still out in the wild.
Yeah. So let's dig into it, guys.
Yeah, I think I paid $5 for it. I paid $5 straight up for it on Vudu for it, like to buy.
Yeah, it's not a very expensive movie, but it is that time of year. We should check it out, and everybody should talk about it. So let's bring up this conversation. Looking back at it, I didn't realize this movie. Jay, you said it came out the same day as The Mummy. It made nothing at the box office. $25 million budget, only made $4
I think
million.
It opened real low on the box office that weekend.
And,
real low.
Looking at the budget, man, I'm like, man, that's a high budget for a 1999 comedy. But we talked about it a little bit with the music budget, the big spending on some of the 90s stars that are in this.
Because Seth Green this was just after Can't Hardly Wait, correct?
Yeah,
and he was doing Buffy
and Austin Powers.
Yeah, and Austin Powers. So that was probably a pretty penny right there for him. And then Devin Sawa, he was doing his thing. He just got off of Casper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vivica Fox was hot, and she was on fire. She just got done doing Soul Food and some other movies. The young Jessica Alba, who she was hitting her stride. Not to mention they had The Offspring playing the movie, which I'm sure that was a pretty penny.
Yeah.
I really do like the.
Well, they had like Rob Zombie as far as the soundtrack, like Rob Zombie and shit like that. That soundtrack was probably where it got away from him at.
Fred Willard, even though he had a small cameo as the dad that died at the beginning of the movie, he's in the movie. I really do like the credit opened, the opening credits. You don't get that anymore with a lot of like newer movies where it's just the opening credits and a score behind it. We don't talk about that more anymore on this podcast. What do you guys think? Do you like opening credits like that?
Well, it's because a lot of movies nowadays just go straight from like their logos into the movie. There's, because back in the day you couldn't go open a movie unless you showed credits and stuff like that beforehand because it was against the Directors Guild. and Screen Actors Guilds and all those different unions that they have in Hollywood.
And for this movie, it was only like an hour and a half. Jay, you said you kind of had some issues with it. You want to name any kind of issues you did have right off the bat? Because like you get introduced to Anton and his parents and the mystery death of his parents.
I think it might be because I've seen it so much over the years that the funniness has worn off. If that makes any sense, because we talked about this last time. You know, do we when we watch a comedy, if we watch it alone, do we get the same amount of funny as if we watched it with an audience? You know, would that be? Is this another one of those movies that's a factor that alone it's okay, together with other people, you know, with an audience, you know, it'd be a better viewing. That's because that's the question we asked last week, Ed. You know, because we had the same kind of problem with Scary Movie last week. Was, you know, some of the stuff was funny, some of the stuff was dated. It was just that it just fell not flat, but it was just you know.
Yeah. And what about you? This was a first time watch, but this is an older movie. How was the comedy for you in this movie?
I mean, some of it was stupid, like obviously. A lot of it was stoner comedy and, you know, stuff like that. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was all right. Comedy wise, it was all right. As far as plot wise,
one of the sayings in the movie when you first get introduced to Anton is they're talking to him about the murders, and when I say them, I'm talking about his two buddies,
Mick and Penub.
And in my notes, I put the two buds, which I thought was pretty funny because it's buds and they're all about smoking bud anyway. Dad joke of the day. But Seth Green is like, dude, don't you watch the news? And Anton's like, dude, I hate that show. And it's just like, it's so funny because it's like he's talking to everybody like it's, you know, just a regular show that I hate that show. I don't watch it.
And I mean, then, you know, the one of the next few lines is like, no, I bet you your parents are dead. It's like, oh shit. Meta.
And then you get introduced to Jessica Alba and Molly.
One of my, before we go past the Jessica Alba, one of my favorite early jokes is when you're introduced to Anton and he's laying there in bed and that song is going, doo, doo. He has those headphones on and he's like, oh shit, what the hell is this? You know, I'm listening to it. He takes the headphones off, he tosses them aside, picks up the littler pair of headphones, pushes plays the same exact song playing when he gets up and he goes downstairs. I thought that was funny. But go ahead.
It is funny. It's kind of what's your take on that?
What?
Like, you think it was just coincidence, or because, you know, the hand technically has its mind of its own?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
But you're the one who told me, isn't this the same hand coordinator?
Yes.
The Addams Family.
Yes. That's the same person from both Addams Family, yes. Or three, actually, yeah.
That's another movie I feel like, you know, and hey, that'd be kind of fun to talk about one day.
Yeah.
I'd personally rather do Values over the first Addams Family. That's just my opinion.
It's been a minute since I've seen Values. Molly, Jessica Alba, probably perfect casting in this movie for this time of year. Or this day and age. Yeah, man, she definitely was the best looking of the crew.
She was
not to say Seth Green wasn't handsome, but
Devin Sawa was a god, man.
Where do you guys think went with him? Let's talk about him for a little bit, because we over on Friday the 14th podcast, if you guys ever listen to that, we talked Devin Sawa during I think a Final Destination movie. But he is kind of just, after his little 90s stint, he kind of just went away and did some not so fun movies. What do you guys think of him as an actor? And I mean, what's your overall most memorable job from him?
He's actually receiving a lot of work right now. Well, he was before they canceled it. He's been in all 3 seasons as Chucky. He played the dad. He played the dad in season 1, a preacher in season 2, and something in season 3 or some shit like that. I think the brother, the dad's twin brother in the 3rd season. So,
memorable roles, I'd say, and I know one's kind of dumb, but whatever. I'd say Final Destination, because that probably is his best work, to be fully honest. And then he actually played Stan in Eminem's music video, Stan.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I was just like, holy shit.
Devin Sawa.
Yeah.
So, he was a teen heartthrob back in the day a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always remember seeing him first just from Casper. That was a movie that I grew up with. I was like 6 years old when it came out. And I don't think we've ever seen like a human version of Casper in any other movie or cartoon. No. And
he was also in that movie Now and Then I was telling you about with Christina Ricci. Got Demi Moore, Rosie O'Donnell, Melanie Griffith, and a few others. Have you ever heard of that movie, Ed?
Which one is it again?
Now and Then.
No.
So coming of age story about 4 girls that grow up together in the 70s, and it's a real good movie.
Okay.
But Devin Sawa was in that. He plays one of the love interests of Christina Ricci again.
Huh. No joke.
But going into the movie, learning that the actual story is the hand is possessed, he goes back and forth through the movie trying to figure out how he can keep his hand busy. He talks to Randy, which is supposedly the devil worship, just because the music he listens to.
Get that one.
Yeah. There's also the kill scenes. What do you think of the kill scenes where he kills Seth Green and how do you pronounce his name? Penub?
Yeah.
So Penub and Mick's death, I think, are pretty funny. The root beer bottle to the head, and then Penub gets his head knocked off.
I like the whole gag through the entire movie that whenever Seth Green's head moves, you can hear liquid shaking around in the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when he gets it stuck up in the AC ducts and he has to get yanked back out by Penub. That's good.
A scene that kind of, and again, I love the special effects in this movie. Even watching it now, the only thing that didn't age well was the animatronics or the CGI from the head.
But some of those shots were pretty flawless, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
There were some wonky ones, but then there were some good ones.
There was a lot of good ones. Something else that kind of bothered me on this recent watch was Seth Green's makeup. In 1 minute, his veins were like really, really dark, and you could tell they were there. But then, like in another shot, it was like, dude, where'd the veins go?
The decomposition, yeah. His decomposition. Yeah, I did. His decomposition, it's weird continuity, yeah.
But I thought those kills were great. I thought the special effects, the makeup was fun. You get a little heartwarming moment when he buries his parents and kind of gives like a eulogy, and then his friends wake up.
Which to me, okay. I didn't get that part that well, other than the fact that for plot's sake, because if you want to use the whole thing of they were both killed by the hand, and okay, but supposedly so were the parents.
So you're wondering how come the parents didn't come back to life,
or anybody else that was killed? So it's just like,
there you go, right there.
Okay,
we needed to have his buds.
Yeah.
So that's I think that was just the whole point. They were just like, shit, we have them, we killed them. Let's make them ghosts. Fuck it, they're undead now. Let's put some makeup on them. They'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a teen movie. They won't ask questions. There won't be no podcast later on asking why we had them in the movie and nobody else survived. But Seth Green does give two of my favorite jokes in the entire movie, though. The one where he grabs the fucking the electric meat slicer. He's like, "Look at me, I'm Leatherface," and he runs and it plugs. And then whenever they come in, they're getting ready to make the burritos. And they look at the microwave. He's like, "Ooh, that's gross." So he's like, "Oh, we should clean it up." He's like, "Oh yeah, while we're at it, just clean the whole fucking house while we're at it."
That one was very good.
You did the throat filling. That scene kind of got me a little bit where the chili of the burrito started coming out of his neck.
He's like, and this motherfucker is like, "Oh, here's some duct tape. I got it." Like, clean yourself up a little bit. You're bleeding.
The scene that kind of just like, hey, why didn't you think of this 25 minutes before, at least scene wise, was when they were like, let's just cut the hand off. You know, he's like, let's keep it busy, let's knit.
Because I think they just waited. They wanted to play with the scenarios of him being able to try to keep his hands busy. Plus, they wanted to have that scene where they stabbed that officer in the ear with that fucking needle. They had to have that.
I remember that in the trailer where they played Pretty Fly for a White.
So do I.
And when it's like, man, it's just that was the perfect part of the trailer that just like, oh man, this movie is going to be pretty cool. Because I believe when I had the old Scream 2 or Scream 3 VHS tape, this was on the previews. But yeah, kind of where it was a deal breaker for me. And Jay, I think you'll attest to this too. But Ed, I want to get your opinion. Randy and Debbie's intertwining relationship. I didn't mind the actress Vivica A. Fox, but I didn't like the character, how she's sprinkled in throughout the movie. She's looking for the possessed hand. When she sees the prisoner and his hand is all like skinny and mummified looking, what does that mean? Does that mean that the hand escaped? The demon escaped the hand?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like,
see, I don't mind her. Her character was perfectly fine to me. It gave a sense of, there's a greater picture out there. It's just not this kid that's being possessed. It happens to anyone that has idle hands. And my biggest problem with her, I didn't mind the Randy character whatsoever. I thought he was cool as shit. But her delivery on her acting was so bad. It's like really bad. Get out of my way. I got to go save me. And I was like, oh God, is that the best take they had of her saying that?
She was pretty stiff on a lot. I mean, she's all right, but she was stiff.
I've seen a lot of better acting in porn films than I've seen with that girl in this movie. I'm serious. Whenever I think of bad acting from a top-notch actress, she's not that bad. And she just killed it. She killed here. She's just a bad.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, did she just not give it her all? Was it just an easy comedy paycheck for her?
Based on how much she's in the movie, I guarantee you she probably filmed no more than a week, maybe 2 weeks, if that.
And I didn't mind Randy's character. I just didn't like the intertwining of the two characters, their little relationship that spawned off. I'm like, I could have done without them two having the hots for each other.
Shit.
And it's a good horror film when you at least get a good tit shot in it. And those were some amazing boobs. Right? Everybody's silent here. You can't have a horror movie without boobs. So, hey, at least we have some good-looking boobs in the movie, right?
Car scene.
Kelly Monaco. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those are some nice boobs.
Let's dig into a little bit of... I enjoyed... What'd you guys think of the actual cutting the hand scene where it just gets up and kind of runs away? We talked about the microwave scene. But now you have the hand is its own killer now, and he's not attached to Anton.
Like you said earlier with the choreographer and all that, it straight up was Cousin It to me, like Cousin It but deranged.
I did like the special effects of it being burned alive in the microwave, the blood squirting out, the sizzling of the skin and turning black and shit like that. I thought that was cool.
That was good.
Yeah. And then you get to, after you have the breast scene and the scene where they're in the car leading into the dance. Um, the dance itself was fun, was it not?
I thought it was cool. I like the whole part where the Jessica Alba's friends making out with the nub.
What about you, Ed? Did you like the dance and the band, and you kind of just seemed like you were over it at this point?
It was started to get a lot better during that time, and I mean, it kind of it roller coastered for me a lot, and I mean, this was slightly on a climb up, for that matter. So it definitely wasn't bad. The Offspring was a cool surprise. Playing the Ramones, "I Want to Be Sedated," and a few other songs like that. But I mean, dance scene was just another dance scene,
Well, the one thing about the dance scene I liked is when they panning around the crowd, you have everybody like just dancing, going nuts for the "I Want to Be Sedated," but then when they pan over to Jessica Alba's character, she's just kind of like slowly grooving to herself. She's
swiggling.
Yeah, she's just like in that mode. I thought that was a nice little touch. And Devon Sawa, the movie has its faults. It's dumb in a lot of places, kind of unfunny in a lot of others. But Devon Sawa's acting, just with his hand alone, that I thought was very well done.
Yeah, I like the way he almost made his character. Excuse me. He almost made his hand, which is something you're supposed to do in a movie like this, a very important character, all just by the way he moved it. I agree with you.
It was kind of that quit hitting yourself kind of gag that most people play on each other.
I like when his hand just twitches, like you could see his little, like his fingers were twitching and shit like that. Like his pinky just kept twitching, like it needed something to do. I like that commitment.
The scene where the hand is like sharpening its nails in the pencil sharpener, I thought was pretty cool.
That was crazy.
It was a cool scene, but I know pencil sharpeners are made where you can't stick your fingers in it. So I was like, damn it. Another suspension of disbelief broken because I know how reality works.
I will say, for a movie that has a bunch of one-liners and some cool jokes that I didn't necessarily laugh out loud with this time, but they're still, hitting the nostalgia part of me. I gotta say, after the rewatch, I did not like the ending. I didn't like it as much as I probably thought I would have. What did you guys think of the ending?
I think the ending Seth Green states it pretty clearly. It's like, what that was it? No hellfire, no brimstone, no, it's like.
Yeah. That's right. That's true.
I mean, and that's it. Just that little pop, and there you go.
And then the car falls on Anton, and you think he's dead, but he ends up being just fine.
One of the questions I have to the entire movie, I guess it's because I've watched it so many times, there is no way in hell that he is going to get off on any of this shit. He should be under police watch, under police custody after that car falls on top of his ass. Jessica Alba should be nowhere near him. Nick Pinup could be showing up to the hospital like, damn, bro, I'm sorry, you got to go to jail. You should have just died. We asked if you wanted to come, but you were like, no, I'm going to stay here with my girl.
I think she would keep anybody from going to the afterlife, right?
I don't know, man. If I had to look at jail, hell no. I think I'd probably go to the afterlife. Even with that weight. Because if you're going to jail for murder, man, how many murders? Let's see. There was the twins. There was the parents. There's 4. His friends, there's 6. Yeah. And then there's like a couple, 3 others off screen that they talked about.
Roughly a dozen.
And then 2 more, the 2 cops. So there's 8. So he'd probably. Yeah, there's like 10, 12 fucking people. He's done. Anton is done.
Yeah. And back in 1999, some states still had the death penalty. So, yeah. Doses.
Overall, a fun little nostalgia kind of watch if you grew up with it. If you didn't grow up with it, you might have a bigger issue with it. And I think we kind of looked at this movie on the schedule on paper. It looked like a pretty fun movie to talk about during this time of year. And looking at the cast, it certainly was fun. But I think we can agree this is almost like the original Evil Dead movie, to where it wasn't popular and it didn't make a lot of money then and there, but a year later, 2 years later, and now decades later, it ended up outliving its.
Oh, this movie definitely has a cult. It's a cult classic to a lot of people.
A little cult following, which is always good, always a good thing. So,
but I can say I was one of those people that paid that $4 million that weekend to see it, though.
That's pretty fun. So let's dig into a favorite scene. Jay, go ahead.
I actually I like the bedroom scene between Jessica Alba and Devin Sawa whenever she invites him in and everything after finding her book, and they end up having sex and everything, and he's trying to keep the hand at bay from murdering her so he can have sex. I found that to be quite funny. And she just looking like, ooh, he's kinky. Like, grabbed my ass, tying his arm up. And he's just like, no, I'm just trying not to kill you.
It's pretty funny.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Oh, and the boob scene. Since it made both of you uncomfortable as hell a while ago, I'm going to say the boob scene.
If I had to pick a favorite scene, I think I'll go with that little sequence of him hanging out with the guys, doing their little conversations, and then the actual kill of both his friends. Those scenes have always stuck out with me, and even watching it so many years later for this episode, those are still some fun scenes. So,
and even as ridiculous as it is, I think when they blow the smoke and the fucking puppets underneath the puppet at the end, the eyes roll back in its head, all stoned. I found that funny. Stupid, yes. Funny, yeah. I thought so.
Ed, what about you? You got a favorite scene?
I would probably say more interactions. Probably from Devin Sawa and Jessica Alba, how they were written and all that to interact with each other, as well as, I guess if I had to pinpoint a scene, it'd probably be the Ding Dong Ditch scene, because he's right there and he's just like pressing the buzzer and all that, and he's trying to get his hand off, and he goes and Spider-Man's the damn thing and falls through the bushes, and he's like, she comes out like, what are you doing to my bushes? And he's like, I'm just trying to get my cat. Like, I've been fighting with it and shit. It's just like an undertone sex joke.
She's like, you got your ass kicked.
Yeah, and it's the first time he actually gets to talk to her, because with the book is one of the first times, if not the first time, he ever actually interacts with her.
Yeah, he don't say shit. He just runs.
He just shoves it to her and fucking takes off. But when he starts to talk to her and all that stuff, that's I guess would be my favorite scene.
All right, let's dig into and talk our star rating. 1 being an absolute crab fest, and 5 being the best of the best. Sir, with honors.
Sir.
Jay, your pick. You go first.
2.5.
2.5.
I'll give it. Like I said, as we're going through, the reason for the 2.5 is that some of it's still funny. Not so much, but I give it merit where on the special effects, the way the film actually looked, it has a cool blacklight look, if that makes any sense.
It does.
The film, like if you watch it under a black light, and then I just find the chemistry between a lot of the actors really great, really good. But then the 2.5 also for Vivica A. Fox sucking so bad.
Man, I think you said it kind of perfect. The way the film looked, the scenes, the special effects, the chemistry between the main four. and the nostalgia for this movie and this time of a horror comedy. So I thought I was going to go with 3, but after watching it again today, I was just like, it's just not there for me. And rewatchability is huge for me on this podcast, so that's where I do a lot of my ratings from. If it has good rewatchability, so I'm going to go right with you at a 2.5. Ed, what about you?
Following suit, 2.5 as well. It missed the mark on a lot of different things. Kind of like y'all talked, quality was kind of in and out. Jokes were decent. I mean, decent enough. Chemistry was good between most, not all, but most of your main cast, for that matter, was good. Alba and Sawa, I thought were good together. I mean, honestly, especially at that time. Yeah, 2.5, man. I mean, it's kind of, like I said earlier, it's kind of a roller coaster of different things. It kind of up, down, up, down, up, down, that, just takes you on a ride. But yeah.
Yeah, that's it for Idle Hands. If you guys love this movie, or if you guys want to tell us your thoughts, let us know in the comments, or let us know social media wise, or you know what, you can also send us an email and we'll read emails next week. It is our last spooky movie of the season. Next week we will be talking about The First Omen, a 2024 release from this year. It got a lot of pretty decent praise for it being a prequel, and it's supposed to lead right into the original Omen. So that's what we're talking about next week, is The First Omen. You guys can check that out on Hulu if you want to watch it along and play along like you always do.
Oh, talking about watching it along or watching it wherever. Where did y'all get to watch Idle Hands?
I watched it on my movie website that I go through.
It was on Amazon Prime for me.
Oh, nice. Okay. Free if you're a Prime member? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Because literally, you were saying Pluto or Tubi?
Yeah, it was free on Pluto.
Okay. I was just like, I wonder which one I can do and all that stuff. Like, maybe it's been put on something recently, and yeah, Amazon Prime popped up. So I was like, boom.
Did you say pimped it?
Pipped up.
That's a good show. Isn't Exhibit part of that show?
Pimp My Ride, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's like what?
Speaking of, this Thursday, join me for another new episode of Friday the 14th podcast.
God, that one looks familiar.
Michael Cera is a part of Magic. That's what we'll be talking about this Thursday on a new episode of Friday the 14th podcast.
Is that Chloe chick?
I think so.
Chloe Moritz Grace.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, is it?
It looks like it.
In the middle right side there, yeah. It looks like her.
No, that is not.
Okay, well then never mind then.
But that's what we'll be talking about this Thursday coming up. Again, next Tuesday, we'll be talking about The First Omen. It is the final horror movie or just spooky movie of the season that we'll go through. November looks to be huge. Let's go ahead and talk about November's schedule real quick. November the 5th, we'll be talking about Clerks 3. November the 12th, Mrs. Doubtfire. November the 19th, we'll be talking about The Wizard of Oz, the week of Thanksgiving, a movie we've been dying to talk about this for years. So
that's going to be a good episode. I know a lot about The Wizard of Oz.
Thursday, November the 19th, we'll talk Wizard of Oz. And then November 26th, we go back to the theater and we review and discuss Gladiator 2. So November is jam-packed.
Since we're doing The Wizard of Oz, maybe one day we could do The Return to Oz.
I've never even seen that one yet.
Don't watch it, Jay. It's
well, how the hell are you gonna tell me we need to do a review on it and then tell me not to watch it? What kind of shit is that?
I just wanted to see y'all's reaction, dude.
Perusa Balk was my shit growing up.
No. It's nowhere near that quality.
And December schedule is out too. We'll talk December. December the 3rd, Interstellar. December the 10th, we will have a top 5 plus 5 Robin Williams episode. December the 17th, we'll talk Home Alone, the original Home Alone movie. And then
Oh, fuck that. We're going to do the Disney Channel remake, Home Alone.
No. We will take Tuesday, December the 24th off. So no episode on Christmas Eve. And then we will finish out the year on New Year's Eve, December the 31st, with Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, which will hit theaters that final Friday of December, starring Mr. Skarsgård himself, Willem Dafoe. So that's how we're going to close out the year, with the remake of Nosferatu. So I think that should be a fun episode. It looks like we're going to have a few months, guys, of just pure fun and some good conversations, some good movies, hopefully. So any comments on the next 2 months? Or man, October just flew by.
Yes.
On its broom.
So
where's my goddamn wand?
Other than that, man, I think we did Idle Hands justice. We had a fun conversation. Next week, The First Omen, and then we open up November with Clerks 3 to finish off that trilogy. So
who's ready to fucking shed a tear on that episode?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Already have, bro.
Other than that, guys, I hope everybody has a good week. Don't forget, join us next Monday. We have World Series Game 1 that we're talking about. We also have some football and NFL stuff that we'll be talking about. Opening week of the NBA is tonight, so join us next Monday for a huge Sports Breakers episode. And
who y'all got, Dodgers or New York Yankees?
Join us on Monday, Ed, and we'll talk about it. Me and Craig already gave our thoughts for Game 1. Join us Monday, Sports Breakers, on another new episode. Next week, The First Omen, on another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Love y'all. Have a good week.